I'm also the founder of the Confidence Club for Kids, and we're here to give parents some tips on how they could help raise confident kids. And I met my new friend here in a networking group, and I want to introduce him to you because he's got some amazing stuff and a really cool book to share with you. His name is Bruce, and he's also known as the Logical Intuitive. And he's an expert in the areas of mindset, wellness, communication, and AI integration. And with a background in computer programming, Bruce honed his logical thinking, a skill complemented by a personal health journey. Can't wait to hear about that. And this cultivated his intuition. Now, this fusion of logic and intuition forms the cornerstone of his unique framework. He is the founder and owner of Actualize Your Full Potential, LLC. He's also a best-selling author and the author of the upcoming self-help novel, Mindset Reset: How to Actualize Your Full Potential. Wow, that's a mouthful there, and I am so interested in hearing more. So Bruce, will you tell us, who are you and why do you do what you do?
Oh, hi, Francine. Nice to be here. Yeah, I've got a lot of different pots on the kettle on the stove here and stuff, different things, and it's sometimes it's almost like one of those little shows where they got the person with the sticks and spinning the plates on top of them, and they're trying to keep them all spinning. That's but yeah, I spent almost 37 years as a computer programmer, web developer, and so that logical thinking, boy, that really got my logical brain going. But just before I got into computer programming, so as a teenager, I started developing serious health issues and numerous surgeries, near-death experiences, and everything that went on for many years. And early on, I just figured it was like normal, every kid daydreams or seeing, thinking about what they're going to do in the future. So, but when I started getting sick, I couldn't do that. When I would try to visualize myself doing something in the future, I would get like a blank movie screen. I couldn't see myself past high school. And that kind of concerned me, but anyway, I wound up having major surgery, which afterwards I had a voice in my head that said, "No, not yet, you're not through here." And I was able to visualize myself doing stuff in the future again. So anyway, I started paying attention to those little whispers. And over the years, more surgeries and everything. And with each major surgery, there was another little message, like help others. And I'm thinking, okay, could you be more vague? Give me a little more direction here. And then there was another one then that was help the kids. And another follow-on surgery, it was like shouting at me, help the kids. And this came out of an almost year-long stay in the hospital with numerous surgeries and coma and everything. And when I came out of that coma, I found my intuition had really heightened. So later on, getting involved with some of the different youth groups and that, so that's been kind of a dear thing to me to be able to find ways of especially helping the kids and the youth and that. And so that's kind of a nutshell about what happened to me and how I got here. So I wound up taking advantage of early retirement offering and started doing my own thing and doing some of my coaching. I realized about a little over a year ago that my style of coaching, I was combining logic and intuition. So that's where the logical intuitive comes in. That's like infusing that logic and intuition. Just a real quick story on regarding what we're going to talk about today on the love languages. I wasn't, of course, I was maybe like 12 years old with the parents visiting our relatives back in Wisconsin. And my parents weren't big huggers and that, but we went to visit some cousins, and they're kind of like my second parents back there, and they had a large family, a lot of kids. So I went upstairs to see their kids, and I'm greeted with lots of hugs, and I'm just like, okay, what's going on? And after about the third hug, and it's like, I really like this. This is nice. And then, so when we got back home, I informed my mom that, hey, we're going to start doing some more hugging. So prepare yourself.
I like that. You informed your mom.
Yeah. And she just, initially, she was just really stiff. She was, because she wasn't used to that. Gradually, she started relaxing and that. So, at any rate, so then as an adult, I'm not even sure how old I was when I discovered the book, The 5 Love Languages. And reading through them, I realized why I loved hugs, because I discovered what my primary love language was. So that's that's kind of how I stumbled across the 5 love languages. But for those that may not be familiar with it, Dr. Gary Chapman he's the one that wrote several books on the 5 love languages. He defines them as words of affirmation, receiving gifts, quality time, acts of service, and physical touch, which includes hugs.
Tell us why parents should want to know more about these love languages.
Well, it really is important to understand the parents, each spouse, is what their love language is, but also what your children's love languages are, because it's like it really is another language, and if you're not speaking, quote unquote, speaking the proper love language, that other person is not going to actually feel loved. Example of each of them, words of affirmation, for instance. That's expressing love through verbal encouragement, compliments, kind words, and then receiving gifts. That's where getting a really thoughtful gift is really important to that person. Quality time is another one. That's kind of my secondary language. So spending quality, meaningful, focused time with that person. Another one is acts of service, actually doing something for that person without being asked to do it. It's like, so just doing something that that's has some importance to them. And then physical touch, that's appropriate touch. It's like hugs, holding hands, snuggles, and those things. So an example is for a spouse and stuff. She said that, oh, you don't love me. And it's like, what do you mean? I tell you I love you every day. Well, that would fall into the words of affirmation. Well, that's by her saying that is not her primary love language. So she doesn't feel loved. And it's the same thing with the children. If you're giving them encouragement and everything, that's all well and good, and you should, but that's may not be their primary love language. So by finding out that maybe that person's primary love language, where they really feel loved, is quality time, spending one-on-one uninterrupted time, not sitting there on your phone with them, actually focused on the child. That is, maybe that's their primary love language. So by identifying each child's love language and identifying, what you can do to really make them feel loved is critical. This is for me. I always felt loved when I was growing up, and didn't realize, because like I mentioned, my secondary love language is quality time. Everybody has a primary and a secondary love language, and so I was always spending quality time with my parents, one-on-one, and both of them together. So, and I always loved having my back, little back scratches and rubs and everything, which that's the physical touch. But later on in years, when I realized, okay, my primary love language is physical touch, hugs and snuggles and everything. So is that, a child actually feeling loved is critical to their development.
You just hit a nerve there. A child feeling loved. And if you are loving them with a language they don't understand, they're not going to feel it. So how can a parent assess what their child's love languages are?
Well, I've got actually a free gift that I'm going to offer stuff. It's a little quick reference guide to kind of overview of the love languages and how the parent as well as the kids can assess their love language. And it's got a link also to additional resources, including the official 5 Love Language website has a lot of quizzes that you can go through as an adult and as teenagers. And for younger kids, of course, the kids aren't necessarily going to be taking the quiz, but the parent can facilitate the quiz, and it's child or age specific, appropriate and stuff. Like I've got a dear friend of mine that each one of her kids had a different love language.
Ooh, that has to make life difficult.
Well, no, actually, it actually isn't as long as you identify them, because what the child does or says to you at different times will give you huge clues as to what their primary love language is. Like whenever my friend would return from a trip, one of them would always say, "What did you bring me?" That immediately says receiving gifts is that child's primary love language. The other one was always just had to be around her, clinging on her, and that, so that was quality time. And the other one is just always hugging and stuff, and so that was the physical touch aspect. And that, so there's different things that your child is already saying and doing that are giving you clues. You just have to be aware of them and kind of pay attention to it.
Pay attention. Yes. I have a newsletter. I'd like to invite everybody to join my newsletter, because the first activity that I'm going to send you is a worksheet, and it's going to be fun for you and your kid to interact together and design what they would be if they were a superhero. Do they have a cape? Do they fly? Do they have, can they turn invisible? This is a great way to connect and learn more about what's important to your child. And if you sign up for this newsletter, you'll also get Bruce's assessments that you could do with your kids and really dig in deeply and learn how to speak your child's love language. I just can't imagine how parents in the past, before these love languages were discovered, how they raised their kids. Or, well, maybe that's why we, as a, 50 years ago, they didn't know this. Maybe that's why we're trying to fix ourselves today. And parents,
the self-help industry came off for that, right?
Exactly. So parents, take advantage of the opportunity to learn and discover how you can prevent your child of needing to be fixed in the future, like my and Bruce's generation had to do. You can break the cycle and raise a strong, confident kid today that doesn't have to be fixed tomorrow. Bruce, please tell everybody how they can find out more about you, how they can contact you and your socials and, all that good stuff that we will drop in the chat.
Yeah, well, the big thing is my website is actualizeyourfullpotential.com. It's got a lot of resources on there, and you're able to, book an appointment. We can just have a chat and see how might be able to help you on different areas, as well as my LinkedIn profile is, we'll have that in here. So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as Bruce J. Barnes. So those are kind of the two best ways of getting a hold of me, and that, as well as if you go to the logicalintuitive.com, that forwards to my Actualize Your Full Potential website. But there's a lot of great resources, but it's just one other quick little story that was about 30 some years ago. I was visiting some other cousins, and while there's quite an age difference between us, so they were in the living room visiting with my parents, and they had two toddlers, and I was playing with them on the floor, and we were having a blast. I've always loved being around kids and that. So after we left, my cousin asked the kids, like, "Oh, did you have fun with Bruce?" Says, "Yeah, we really liked that." Says, "Oh, what did you like most?" Says, "He got down on the floor and played with us." And my cousin told me afterwards that was like a major eye-opener for her, because she would always say, "Go in the other room and play." She wasn't actually spending one-on-one time. So that, relating to the 5 love languages, that meant the kid's primary love language was quality time. So those little things that the kids say, those are going to give you clues.
That was an amazing story, and it's good that you showed up so she would learn that before the kids went out looking later in life to fill that gap in all the wrong places. That old song, "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places."
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our talk today. Everybody, please sign up for the newsletter so you could get these assessments and learn how to tap into your children's love languages today, so somebody doesn't have to fix them tomorrow.
We all want to feel loved, so
That's it. Show the love. Oh, and by the way, you could show the love here too. Like this video, share this video, and definitely subscribe to the channel. Francine, Julene with Bruce signing out. Bye.
Bye.